Yes, everybody, good afternoon, West Ham fans. It is Friday, it is lunchtime. We are getting there. Hope everyone is, well, it's past lunchtime now, it's after lunch. Anyways, Hammers and the Association with the KUMB.com, boys. Check them out, as always, for the latest news, reviews, and opinions. This morning I spoke about the squad overhaul in terms of, 5 first-team squad members will be out of contract in the summer next year. What does that mean? What does that mean? It means hopefully the average age of our squad will go down a bit because they're all over 30, all over 32. 32, yeah, 'cause the youngest, isn't he? But at lunchtime we did have your say. We had D-Part on, who's a rapper. You remember we did the Declan Rice song a couple of years ago. Obviously that's aged well, but he's now got a song in the EAFC 25 soundtrack. You know, what we used to call FIFA. So, big West Ham fans, we had a chat about the game ahead and got your opinions as always. Had a crucial game at the weekend against Ipswich. But 3 stories as per usual. And let's get into it. So, the first one is about a report that's come out that many have reported on. And it's about, sure by the thumbnail, the tinkering. I believe he is the only manager in the Premier League to have used every one of his subs. 6 games, 30 substitutes he's used. And there has been, I think, fair to say, a bit of tinkering around with and confusion amongst the fan base in terms of formations, team sheets, tactics, in-game management, bringing in players, changing it. I mean, at the end of the game against Brentford, we had Mavropanos playing right back, Wan-Bissaka left back. We had Bowen, Kudus, and Paqueta all on the bench, as we know, very prominent in terms of the substitution of Kudus at half time. But there's a lot of us, it's no surprise, I think, that we're struggling for any sort of continuity as there's been this constant change. I think we've shown glimpses of playing more of a passing game, more of a possession-based game, but then we've shown defensive vulnerabilities. We've shown relatively toothless in attack, I think it's fair to say. And without the sort of the luxury of European football, which helped give, games to the squad players, more games to work on patterns of play. It's just, it does seem to be, there's a lot of tinkering going about, but it's not just for the West Ham fans. It was reported by journalist Dean Jones that he shared information saying the players have been caught off guard by last-minute changes to lineups and tactics, including the defeat to Chelsea, where I think that's probably our worst performance for a long time. We looked like a team of individuals, I thought. We didn't look like a team who knew what they were doing. And he's alleged their issues because it's not the only example of Lopetegui surprising his players. It's understood he has also made late changes to expected starting lineups. In addition, sources have indicated that the recent decision to line up with a back 3, Vincent Alvarez at the heart of it, also came as a surprise to the players late in the build-up towards the Chelsea game, which we obviously lost 3-0. So it raises concerns for me in terms of and sometimes we've actually said it looks like the players don't know what they're doing. And it does seem that there is this fascination to change and tinker, and it might be because we haven't seen the results, because we've lost the game, it's been the wrong decisions. Clearly it was the wrong decision to play Alvarez so deep. Now he does tend to, even under David Moyes, he would slot into that sort of sweeper role, and he'd do it quite often than not. But it was evident he was more stuck in that position than maybe last season, for example. And obviously losing the game as well, just sort of, you can see there's frustration, and whether that boiled over on Saturday or not, I don't know. I mean, if the results were there, if we were winning games, if we were like on, I don't know, 5 out of 6 or whatever, people wouldn't be reading too much into this. But now we're trying to almost systematically take things apart. And I mean, I'm still trying to find out what the style of play is. I'll be honest. We've seen glimpses, but according to journalist Dean Jones, it does seem that it's something which has been evident through the dressing room this season. So I still think it's him trying to find the right formula. I think once you find it, I think we'll have less tinkering. But we'll wait and see. So let's talk about Mr. Sullivan, shall we? It was reported in Bloomberg yesterday that the West Ham chairman is set to lose £10 million on his personal project as he looks to sell a London mansion. It was revealed that he spent £75 million on the property, which he bought for £27 million and spent around £50 million on development. But he's slashed the asking price to just £65 million, admitting he's selling it at a loss now, but you have to be realistic. So it's not just off the pitch, on the pitch where West Ham aren't sort of showing their true value. It's happening also with the chairman and his properties. It's likely to, as I said, a loss around £10 million on his personal. But it's not. It's a dent, but it's unfortunately for someone who's so rich, it's not catastrophic. That makes sense, which it will be for us. Interesting, also news with the chairman or the chairman's son. There was a podcast which was released last week by Dodge Royal, friend of the channel. We've had him on. He's get some very good guests on, and it was Jack Sullivan. Jack Sullivan was being interviewed, and a fascinating insight into running a football club, but also being dad of the chairman of top club and things like that. And they got into the weeds. Obviously, Dodge's a West Ham fan. They got into the weeds about Tim Steindl. And it was actually Daniel Krasinski who interviewed Tim Steindl for the role, which again adds validity to the whole reason why we brought in a director of football. It was led very much, it was believed to be led by Daniel, having done it previously in Sparta Prague and seen the need of someone to come in to oversee the footballing side of the business. And he was a key driver. And clearly he was a key driver, not only into the development of the role, but also in the appointment of Tim Steindl as well. So just little tidbits which we saw there. And finally, we spoke about Hugo Duro. We talked about him yesterday in terms of us and Aston Villa apparently both being interested in a move for the Valencia striker. I don't know why I put the accent on there. I do apologise. But apparently my favourite Spanish media outlet, Fajijas, has reported that the club have now publicly set the price to price him away from La Liga. They've made it clear of a minimum release clause to negotiate the departure of Duro is 20 million euros. So about 17 million quid. Duro is 24. So for me, that's more capable and attainable. The right age profile as well. The report also, which released yesterday, said the negotiations are at a standstill, waiting for one of the interested parties to decide to increase their offer or for Valencia to be willing to reduce their claims. So that's interesting that, there has been negotiations already, whether they have between Aston Villa and Valencia, West Ham and Valencia, or West Ham and Aston Villa with Valencia. We're not too sure, but it does seem that there's been some discussion there. In my eyes, it's more like us, in all honesty. Duran's doing quite well at the moment for Aston Villa, and probably more so than they anticipated, I think, in all honesty. So for someone to come in, £17 million, it's just over pump money, isn't it? I mean, we paid 15 million for Danny Ings at the time. Duro's 24, finding his feet after a couple of moves away. Getafe, Real Madrid, and now at Valencia. It seems an attainable amount of money at the moment. obviously we may well be moving players on or cooking the books elsewhere in terms of maybe even spending ahead of the summer's transfer budget, knowing full well that it's likely that we'll probably lose one of our key players, I think, in the summer, in terms of minimum release clauses kicking in, Paqueta and Kudus. So it might be someone, and for me, it'd be good to get someone in January, because you always need a bit of a, pep up your step, don't you, in January? But yeah, apparently it's been set for 17 million squid. So we'll keep an eye. And that's it, my friends. Thank you very much for your time, as per usual. Hope you have a lovely weekend. Don't forget to check out the West Ham Network. We'll have all the lead-ups to the game itself for the watch along with Anton, and then Aftermath as well. Plus, we'll also, I think tonight, we might even have Irish Tommy on the channel. And then, obviously, we go into the international break. Got some good content, some good interviews lined up, including some very good ex-player interviews. One I'm very excited about. Hasn't been on the channel. In fact, I haven't seen him on any other channel, and he was a very good player for us as well. One that slipped through the cracks, maybe in terms of getting interviews, potentially. I don't know, but anyway, keep an eye on the channel. Take care, stay safe, stay warm, stay humble, keep the faith, and come on, you bloody irons. Much love. Bye bye.